today we're going to start off with a question. I'd like you to read this question and in your notebooks write down an answer. By looking at the picture, this is the only thing we know. I want you to assume that this is the only thing we know from the Egyptian civilization. What can you tell me about their civilization from this one picture? Christian, what do you see? What can you tell me?
They have some like religious beliefs.
Religious beliefs? Okay. Explain that a little bit more.
Like they have like a whole bunch of stuff that we use on like the thing on the forehead.
Okay, so that happens to be something religious, you think. Alright. Andrew?
That they were wealthy and because they were pharaohs and they believed that they were gods.
So you think this is a pharaoh?
Yes.
And because it's a pharaoh, you think he's a god?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and he must have been somewhat wealthy, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Go ahead, Brooke.
I think it's an ancient tomb.
A tomb? Ancient tomb? Okay.
Yes.
What is it? What is its purpose?
I don't know. I read an article on it Friday, but I forgot.
Okay. Yes, Andrew?
That they buried people in golden coffins.
In golden coffins. Okay. So that's basically might be a way that they buried their pharaohs. All right. Ben?
That whoever buried in there could be like the king of like the military because of those two swords.
Okay, so you think he's head of the military. If the person that's in there is the head of the military. But because he's in there, he might look like that? Is that what you're saying? The person that's in there, that might be his actual image? All right. Yes, Quinn?
They wore clothing.
They wore clothing. Okay, so we know they wore clothes. Very good. Terrence?
I think that's a certain god that's protecting him inside.
Okay, so instead of what Ben was thinking, that's the actual image of the person inside, that might be the God that's protecting someone inside.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
That they believe in the afterlife.
They believe in the afterlife. All right. Very good. Yes.
I'm thinking that's his like afterlife form.
Okay. That's what they think he's going to come back with?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, like his soul knows where to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they believe that like, you die and someone needs to find you.
Okay. That makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, Ben.
The guy must have been royalty.
Royalty? Okay. You've all heard of King Tut, right? This is actually his coffin that they found. And it actually is made in his image. But we can learn a lot of things with this. One of them being, this is how Egyptian art was. And we're going to see in a little bit that Egyptian art was basically tailored around their religious beliefs. It was really a main focus of where their art came from. Whereas we may have, pictures today of, art pictures today of flowers or a seascape or something like that. Most of their art was turned into their religious beliefs, and of course, a lot of that had to deal with gods. And what do we know about what the pharaohs were thought of as? Yes, they were thought of as gods. So pull out your objective sheet real quick. Today we're definitely going to cover analyzing ancient Egypt art and architecture. So put 1016 next to that on your objective sheet, 1016. We're going to try an activity today, so if we get to these two, we will. If not, then we'll get to them on Thursday. But we might explain the importance of the Rosetta Stone, what that has to do. And we may identify the 6 different social groups, the different social groups in Egyptian society. So basically we're going to find out the hierarchy of how the social class in Egypt basically turned out. And it's somewhat similar to what we've seen with past civilizations, with a few different twists and turns, because now we have more jobs coming out, more job specialization happening. So that's where one of those groups are actually going to tie in to the social hierarchy. Egyptian art. It's usually found in graves and tombs. Why do you think that would be? Why would we find it there? Yes, Ben.
Probably tell the story of whoever's buried in there.
Tell the story of who's in there. Okay, very good. So maybe it's a photo album, if you will. I mean, unfortunately, have anybody of you gone to a wake before? Where you've seen maybe there's been lots of pictures put up? Yeah, okay. Yes, Quinn?
To preserve it.
To preserve it? So, okay, so you think maybe the art might preserve the surroundings of the tomb? All right. Yes, Andrew?
So the pharaoh or whoever is buried in there can have it in the afterlife?
Okay. Very good observation. And that actually kind of ties into it a little bit. One of the main reasons they were set up this way was to basically try and replicate the word of the world for those that had died. So when they did come back to life, because that's part of their religion, they would just see things how they used to be. And this picture kind of tells that. You know, if a pharaoh were to come back to life, if the mummy would come back to life, then he would see pictures of people farming. Okay? And that's basically one of the main focuses that, you know, brought Egypt to where it was, you know, the Nile and the fertile soil and producing of the crops. So this picture would be seen in a lot of tombs because it would tell people, you know, if they thought the way things were supposed to go, the pharaoh comes back to life, they're like, oh yeah, things are just the way you left them. When you left this world, that's how they are now. It also kind of shows a sense of regularity as far as nothing really changes. What can you tell me about possibly the size of the figures on there? What do you think that has to do with anything? Yes, Tom?
Really around the social class.
Social class, very, very good. Yes, they do have, it does happen to tell, like, where each person is in a social class. This picture got cut off a little bit, but this is actually where the pharaoh would be. And he's going to be a lot bigger than most everybody else. These up here would either be scribes or possibly slaves, because they're a lot smaller. And they're lower down on the hierarchy pyramid. But the art itself, what do you see that's different when it comes to these pictures, as far as the form? Yes, Andrew?
Like their head,
Their head, what about their head?
like their animals and stuff.
Okay, they're animals, yes. Ben?
That with those type of pictures, they're like usually human size.
Okay, so they're bigger, they're a bigger size, right? These happen to look like possibly a pharaoh and his princess, so they might be a little bit bigger than everybody else. What else do we see? What do you see about the actual shape of the picture, or of the figures? What can be pointed out about them? Yes?
There's no definition?
Very, very slight definition. Basically from the waist down, you can see that the legs are facing forward, okay? But yet the body is turned a little bit from the top up, and then the head is always turned. You don't see like the front part of the face. So you see the head turned and the eye and one eyebrow showing. So it's very significant that the way they profiled their humans in their art. What do you think's going on with this picture on the right? What do we see here? Yes, Dominic.
Fair trade.
Fair trade? Okay. Possible. The justice scale, basically? Yes? Andrew?
The pharaoh is judging someone.
Could be judging someone. Very good. Okay. What else? Ben?
Do you show like how much workers it took to move the block to build the pyramid?
A little bit, so it could be some sort of mathematical thing for engineering a pyramid. Okay. Basically, like I said before, all art was moved around or based around religion. Tom, what do you think?
That seems correct.
What's that?
That's a new this?
Yes?
No, wasn't he dealing with the afterlife stuff?
Yes, he was.
So, he's way this person's life, I guess you could say.
Okay. Very good. That actually exactly what it is. It comes from what's called the Book of the Dead. And basically, the picture on the right is what would be an example of how to produce a funeral. That's what the Book of the Dead was. It's basically the owner's manual or the instruction manual of how you should basically start mummifying a pharaoh. We've all seen those books, like Microsoft for Dummies, right? That's basically what this was. It kind of ties into how it should be done and what should be done and the process of how it should be done. Because obviously when we did the web quest last week, there is a big process that's involved with that. That's where this comes from. But you can see it is also involved in with their art. This would have been on a tomb or on some papyrus, which we'll learn about in a second here. Examples of where we're going to see this is on pyramids, hieroglyphic drawings, sarcophagy is basically what would be the actual tomb or coffin of where they would have put the pyramid or put the mummy. So it'd be this outer thing, which would be all covered in art as well. But as we can see, art is definitely tied in very, very deeply with their religion. What is a hieroglyphic? Yes, Andrew.
It's the Egyptian writing system.
Okay, Danielle, what'd you say? What'd you
It's
have?
like a drawing that symbolizes something.
Okay, so it's a picture that symbolizes something.
Mm-hmm.
What would that something be?
Like words.
A word? Okay. Okay, Andrew?
Like for the bird, it would be a bird.
You think the bird would just be a bird?
Well, like it would represent like some type of religion.
Okay, it could. It could represent some religion. But remember we were talking about symbolic language a couple of weeks ago? The Egyptians kind of did that with hieroglyphics, but basically turned it into something much larger. They started putting, like we learned with the Phoenicians, they made their own alphabet, started using a little bit of phonics. That's what the Egyptians are starting to do too. They're starting to use these symbols, but they're using them towards like kind of a phonic type language. But hieroglyphics are basically what the Egyptians used to write. It was their writing system.